Welcome, Peter. Welcome to Life Biz and all that jazz.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you for having me here, and super excited to do this with you.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. I'm excited to have this chat with you today, and I know the audience are going to love it as well. So let's get right into it. I want you to tell us about your journey so I can tell the audience in my intro a little bit about you from what I know, but nothing comes better from hearing it from yourself. So let's go back to the beginning of your journey and go back as far as you want and talk as much as you want.
Awesome. Thank you, Jasmine. Honestly, I'm going to start from the beginning of where things kind of had a big turn. Actually, it started with my senior year of high school 10 years ago, exactly, actually. Well, not exactly 10 years ago, but it started Christmas. And I think Christmas and my birthday are very two big events where I kind of have unsettled things in my mind. Actually, a lot better now that I'm healed. But that's the year that I was just so stressed out from school, so stressed out from life, and all that pressure from Asian parents. I'm not sure if your parents was like that, but so much stress from there. And I know it wasn't just from school itself. I know they had stress on themselves too that they put onto me. And I kind of almost gave up on life, Jasmine. I almost gave up
Mhm.
on life, and I did, try to really think about it and really appreciate that journey. But thinking about during that time of what exactly happened, I can go to very detail about it. So, Jasmine, if you have this intro, just make sure that it's like a warning, of how brutal this can get.
Yes.
In audience, so I wanted to really share that first before I continue the story. During that time, I want to give up. I want to give up. And I actually went to grab a knife. And during that time, my dad actually grabbed it by the blade. So that whole night, he was actually bleeding from his hand. Didn't want to go to the hospital. And I didn't know what was really going on. I'll be very honest. I was so dark, deep in the hole that I kind of lost myself, And after my dad grabbed that, I decided that I wanted to jump off the building. From there, my mom tackled me down, and I actually went back to my room and I actually downed myself with pills.
Mm.
Um, it was my choice of weapon during that time of committing suicide. And luckily, my body decided to reject it really bad. So it was kind of a sign, of like faith coming in and reason why it happened. And I actually didn't eat for almost, I think, 6 days or something like that. I didn't get out of my room. I still had to go to school because school was still there. People kind of notice, when you're always the person who's always happy, jolly, and creating that joy for people, and all of a sudden you're quiet and almost have nothing, no emotions to really stand out. People wonder, and that's really the start of my journey of where I'm at today. Fast forward 9 years later, last year, let's rewind back 3 years when I moved from Hawaii to California. I thought I had it all. I'll be honest, working for corporate America, having the best significant other, etc. And I think that was really tough. I thought I had it all. I'll be very honest with everyone here. But as the time goes on, corporate America wasn't my thing. I hate having greedy people, work for greedy people. And I ended up quitting the job. Actually, it was a vice versa. I got fired and I quit my job at the same time just because there were so many different point of views. During that time, I kind of lost a lot of things. I had to find another job. I had to make sure that my saving was intact, make sure I was working. And as the year goes on, things started to happen. I thought I had the most perfect relationship. And all of a sudden, things had a change of a turn. So my significant other at there in that time actually was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. And if you guys haven't noticed what schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, every time they have an issue with their psychology effects, they do lash out.
Mm.
And during that time, I was trying to figure out what was going on, and during those episodes, I kind of realized what was going on a little bit. And I didn't really piece the puzzle together. I was like, why is she asking for this? Why is she asking for that? Why is she asking for this guy, that guy? Now I started piecing the puzzle together, and I kind of just gave it a chance. I'm like, okay, maybe that's just her past. I kind of left it alone. Fast forward that year, she actually went on a trip. And actually, because of that trip, it got me homeless. I lost everything to my name, lost money, went 5 figures in debt, and I went homeless. I couldn't afford rent, so I decided to change my car into a mobile home and use my car to drive around. And still during that time, I did not break the relationship up. I thought I could make a change. I thought that I could fix things. At that time, I couldn't even fix myself, Jasmine. I couldn't even fix myself. So I'm not sure what was going on through my head, but the thought of saying goodbye to everybody was there, and I actually did it. I called everybody up and I said goodbye, knowing that I wanted to commit suicide again. I wanted to just give up on life. But as time goes on, and this was my breaking point, was when things got physical and mentally abusive. And I know you girls, you guys love your curling irons. You guys really love it when it's hot. Imagine getting whacked by that
Oh.
and like having those burns, right? And getting stomped on, getting spit on, and because you don't want to fight back, just
Mm.
because you just wanted to give up. And that was my breaking point. I walked out and I said, I'm not coming back to this. It's just I just can't. And I just couldn't be disrespected like that. It took a while for me to get back on my feet. It really did. I did fly back home to Hawaii, and luckily one of my friends actually bought my ticket, one-way ticket back to Hawaii. And then from there, I thought I was healed. But the healing point was when I found a place to rent up in Northern California in the Bay Area. That really changed my life. That really started healing my healing process and really started to find myself again. But the real healing process started when I decided to make a new book in my series. I actually moved down to SoCal, Los Angeles area, the OC area, and this is where my journey began. I came down here, found a job, again, working for corporate America, quit the first week I got here. Started Monday, quit on Friday. And I'm actually a tennis coach also. And I actually, when I moved down here, I wanted to quit coaching. But at the end of the day, somehow it found its way back to me, and I'm striving as one of the top coaches down here in SoCal, and that's what I believe that I am. And really building a program down here to really strive with the kids and really show care and love to these kids and kindness. So that's actually where I'm at now. I this year, from being homeless last year, this whole year has been a blessing in disguise for me. I was able to fly home not just once, not just twice, but three times in the last 6 months. 6 months. And I also took another personal trip to be able to really explore myself and really find the person who I am today.
Thank you, Peter, for sharing that. I really appreciate you opening up and sharing your story. One thing I want to touch on is I'm so glad that you're still here with us. You know, the word suicide plays a big part in my life. I lost my dad now 9 years ago to suicide. And, it's such a common thing that happens. And like for yourself, it was multiple times you couldn't get out of it and you were still trying to help other people in the interim. I'm glad that you're still here. It's a very hard thing to break free from and to be at a point where you feel that low. And a few years ago, I was similar, and that's when I knew that I needed to change something in my life, and I removed alcohol, and then the slower, more transformation starts to come. I want to touch on a little bit on the relationship because I think it would have been quite hard for you. You said that you really, you became homeless because of a relationship that you were trying to fight for. Then the abuse come in, and yourself, like you said, you didn't want to fight back. So a lot of the times we don't really hear about a lot of men's stories from abuse in relationships. And is that something now that, you look different when it comes to relationships or who you are dating in that dating life?
Honestly, I got to say, I've really had a blessing this year, and I'm
That's
actually in
great.
a relationship, an amazing relationship right now. And
Oh, that's lovely to
honestly,
hear.
really different. I thought about it too, and
Mm,
everyone's different in this world. And if you
yeah.
always have that mindset of, well, that girl might be the same or that guy might be the same as my last one, you're not going to strive. I'm sorry. But if you're not giving the other person a full chance of saying, okay, hey, like, let's give this person a chance and let's see where this goes. And then that's really what I did, and I'm striving now, being a lot better, enjoying life. But, it's very different, when you have an alignment with someone else. It's not just about love. I think a lot of people really falsifies that. Yes, you can love that person all you want, but
Mm,
is that person compatible with you? Is that person aligned with you, with your goals? Because if they're not, love is not enough. That's what I thought, right? And that's where I was in. I wouldn't say I loved the girl before I dated. And I know that sounds very a-hole-ish, but I dated for the wrong reasons. I dated the last two for the wrong reasons. And I finally said, I guess third time's a charm, and really understanding who I am first before moving on to someone who I want to create this journey with. So,
mm.
to be honest, no, I really don't look at my relationship different. Yes, some things come up, through your mindset, and sometimes you get flashbacks to it. but I don't treat the relationship as if they were the old ones.
Yeah, that's a really good way to think about it. And I think to be able to fully be in a new relationship, you have to leave the past in the past. And there's things, like you said, things might come up and trigger you, but it's really understanding those triggers and like listening to them, but knowing that that doesn't have to relate to the current situation. So that's a very powerful tool. When you decided that, something needed to change, was there certain practices that you put into place to help yourself? Did you have, daily routine, certain things to really help you, build that confidence back? Because I feel like, being in a relationship like that, and especially working really hard, becoming homeless, that would have taken a lot of your confidence and created a lot of doubt. Is that right? Is that how you felt?
I definitely did. I lost a lot of confidence. I did doubt myself a lot, and I think that's
Mm.
why I want to give up so fast.
Yeah, of
Because I
course.
up, right? My daily routine is still kind of the same to this day. I do journal, I do go for my walks, especially as it cools down at night. I do go for my walks and put on personal development or kind of do a quiet walk where we reflect to ourselves and really learn to switch the switch in the brain, being grateful for what's around you and be appreciative of what you have. That's what I really learned a lot. I used to, when I was in Hawaii, I used to be very, I would say, spendy, and I used to just spend. But when I was homeless, that's when I learned a very big lesson: is you can have it all and you can lose it all really fast.
Mm.
So it all depends on the perspective that you have. So now, my daily um, goals is I do have mentors that I talk to every single day to make sure that I'm still up and running. But I do reflection walks at night to really reflect on myself and reflect on what's around me.
I think that's important to continue with a routine that's working for you as well, especially when you got to a point of having, those dark thoughts, and not just once, multiple times trying to end your life. There's still a fine line. We need to really protect our energy and our mental health. And knowing that, at any time, if you don't want to obviously fall off the track, and this is obviously referring to how I feel about it, is, long as I stick with certain, routines, and I make sure that I don't let myself get to a point of overwhelm, then, you're able to bring yourself back. So now, what's life like for you now? You talked a bit about your story. With your journey, you're back doing as a tennis coach. Do you feel like that's kind of like healing for you as well?
Yeah, I actually started 5 years ago. I started my journey of having my global wellness company, wellness
Yeah.
business, and I decided to come back into it this past October when I decided to move down, but really hedge onto it. So my main thing is actually running a global health and wellness business with a side of tennis to enjoy my life a little bit more. But I decided to make a very big change this year, Jasmine. And in April, I made a decision to really focus on my internal, external body.
Hmm.
I was heavy, 255 pounds. And I was like, I looked at myself as a tennis coach, as a tennis parent, and I told myself, would I ever have my kid take lessons or get taught by this coach who has no energy, who could barely move on the court, who can barely enjoy his life? And that's when I made a change. Because I help people balance their hormones and lose weight, I made the hugest change. And I think that's the biggest aspect. I wish I can show a before and after photos on here. But I lost 55 pounds since April, Jasmine, by just really focusing on myself and really focusing on who the person I am today. And I want to be able to help other people do that too. So life today is about just helping other people, giving the gift of giving and really showing people that there's a lot of things in this world that could actually just change your life in a heartbeat.
When you said about before and after photo, if you want me to, I can link one in the show notes. So let me know if you want to do that,
I
because
will.
that's a good transformation. I love to see stuff like that. So now I feel like you've got this purpose-driven life. You're obviously in the health space as well, your wellness space. What's involved with the business side of things? Do you do your coaching as well, or you've got your tennis coaching, but within the business side, the wellness side, do you assist people as well with that? Or is it more
Yes,
just,
I do.
yeah, okay.
We do have a product base too, but
Yes.
because,
Yeah,
with
I
the
I
product
had a look at
comes
your
with
website. Yeah.
yeah, it comes with my coaching too. So when you buy the products, I want to make sure that the product works for your body and how everyone's body is different. So
Mm.
technically, yes, we have the products. Yes, we have the world, I would say, the best products in the world because of what we make sure that the science behind it, the third party testings to make sure that's really healthy for everyone's body. And also, what we see on the label is in the label. But no, I do offer a service too to make sure that people are trying to aim for their goals. Let's say you have a goal of losing weight or feeling better or better sleep. How can we do that? And I really help you fixate that so that you're able to reach your goals.
Oh, that's great. Let's give the audience some little what's some little tips. I know it's hard to go into full detail and stuff like that, but say is it with this the supplements and then you give them like advice around that as well? Or how does it kind of
Yes.
work? A little bit deeper.
Yeah, I honestly, first of all, our supplements are all natural, holistic.
Yeah.
We don't use any chemical reaction to because it will affect our body. One of the tips that I always give people, it's not a diet. Everyone thinks, oh, you got to go on a diet to lose weight. You got to go starving yourself to lose weight, or you got to count your calories to lose weight. People don't realize it's because the reason why people count your calories or starve yourself is because your body internally is not healed.
Mm,
Especially as through our days of stress, especially as we stress out, it actually inflammates our body. So because you're bloated, or you feel like puffy in your face, or you feel like you're always hungry all the time, and you go out there and like I'm not sure where Jasmine's from, but it's in America. There's so much fast food places around me, and people always go to there, and people don't realize that how unhealthy it is for your and your
mm,
body. And really, even yes, you use our products, but if you don't change your lifestyle, it's just not going to work for you because you're damaging your body as you consistently eat those processed foods, um, and damage your body. To be honest, Jasmine, I lost 55 pounds without doing a calorie deficit at all. I ate more than I actually ever ate, um, and I still lost the weight. And I don't believe when a lot of people say you have to go on a calorie deficit. But if you learn to heal your body internally, it really does amazing things. Your body has the best tools to really help your body be the best vehicle to so that you can do in your daily life.
wow, that's so interesting. So it's not just diet or calorie deficit to lose weight. You really got to heal your environment. And I do understand that because I know, especially with the puffy face, if I'm in a
Right.
stressful situation in life, you kind of bloat up and you hold that water retention. And when we're stressed, cortisone spikes, and then that really affects all our hormones and everything else as well. So yeah, that's really cool. What are the main supplements? Like what do they help with? So you mentioned like sleep, obviously like weight loss. Is there any like
So
what about stress?
yeah,
Let's talk
so
about like stress or for like mental well-being.
Yeah, so the cool part about it, as I said, it's all natural. What it does, it actually helps your hormones be in balance. So
Yeah.
it brings your cortisol level down. It changes your leptin, which is your hunger hormones, which you sometimes people feel hungry at weird times of the day. It really controls that. It does give you better sleep. For women, I know you guys go through menopause and PCOS. Some women, it helps actually calm those side effects down, like the hot flashes, the hunger, the cramping. It really calms that down. The biggest part of the mental health part where it really helps is anxiety. I think a lot of here people have
Mm,
anxiety, and anxiety is built through the chemical reactions through your body and your hormones. So if your hormones are in whack, you'll have more anxiety. And that comes from also eating what you're eating too. So if you're eating bad food, your anxiety is actually going to kick in because your body is just so inflamed and in panic mode. So you also panic too on the outside.
yes. Wow. Very interesting, especially about the chemical reaction, because a lot of people don't understand that they can balance their anxiety and, everything is a symptom of a cause. There's a reason why we're having certain symptoms like anxiety and stress or fatigue. And it all comes back to the way that we live and what we, put in our body and what we consume. So if we've got someone listening today, and they're feeling like giving up, because this is what I want to kind of go back a little bit full circle, because you've just come through and we know, we understand where you're at now, and the amazing journey that you've had and where you've come from to today, which is very inspiring. But let's go back and talk to anyone listening that, is at the start of their journey or knows that they want better and they want change. What would you say to them? What would be something to help them kind of get started? Because I think this is really important. And I love to ask all my guests these questions because everyone always has a different perspective.
I think, for me, and how I got started is really making a decision. I think at the end of the day, we all have a choice. We have two choices actually. The choice of moving up and the choice of staying where you're at. And that's where the decision started first. When you decide that you want to level up, when you decide that you're sick and tired of being in the same spot, that's when you're like, okay, you know what? I need to make a change. And that's where I was. I was sick and tired of not having money. I was sick and tired of being in debt. I was sick and tired of being alone, and I was sick and tired of just being at the bottom. And when I made a decision saying that I'm so sick and tired of having that, it's not just, hey, I'm gonna dip my toe in the water. No, I'm gonna cannonball in the water because I'm ready to go. And to all the audience out there, as you guys start your journey, once you make a decision, I think it starts with a decision first. It doesn't start with who makes a decision for you. It's the decision that you make alone. Once you make the decision alone, watch how things can change night in a heartbeat. Because once I made a decision to say, okay, this is where I'm going to go, this is what I want, you're going to work on it. And it comes from not just making a decision, but also positive talking to yourself too. Cut that negative things, cut that negative talk to yourself, and really just focus on the decision that you made and keep it positive.
Wow, that's very amazing. Thanks for sharing that, because I think the way that you talk about that, you can feel your passion behind that, and I love that. I think it also comes to little simple practices you mentioned earlier about taking a walk. The power of taking a walk is extraordinary because what it actually does is it uses both of our sides of our brain when we walk, because it just, whatever we have to do, obviously we're thinking and we're out in fresh air. And even if you can't go out in fresh air, well, you should be able to. Maybe if it's cold or it's too hot, like you said, go at a certain time. So I know there's a lot of different weathers around the world now. Here in Australia, it's winter, but it's not really the winter that you're probably used to. Does it get cold where you are?
Yeah, it does, but it's not. I don't think it's cold as Australia. I do have some teammates in Australia where they're like, "Oh, it's freezing here," and they're wearing like
Yeah, so it's really
coat.
hard because it's so, yeah, there's so much different weather like everywhere. At the moment, it's freezing here. But yeah, I think the power of just a simple walk and journaling. I'm really big on promoting journaling because that's even something simple to start with, don't you think? You can just grab a piece of paper and just write your thoughts.
I think that, it's not just about writing your thoughts, but writing your feelings. How I
Yeah,
kind of do my journal
exactly.
is very, very. I talk about how I felt that day. Hey,
Mm.
maybe in the morning I felt like I was upset myself, and then all of a sudden things change, right? And I think rereading your journal opens a lot when it comes to like the days that you feel tough, the days that you feel like I can't do this anymore. You open your journal, and now there's a whole series of how you got back up on the days that you were upset.
Yes, I've got a journal. I've recently started a new practice, but I'll chat about my previous journaling. So I've got journals going back years and I look at them every now and then, and it's just so different to read what I wrote then and then like now. And I look back and I think I don't know that person, and that's in a good way because I've come so far. But recently I started journaling more about the way that I talk in the perspective of, say, I'm talking to my best friend, like really hyping myself up and trying to see how that can really help me kind of like start to progress to the next level where I'm at. Because I feel like where I'm at right now, I'm doing a lot of things, but I just know that I'm ready for like kind of like my next upgrade. So I'm just trying to take it,
Right.
yeah, take a few little steps with that, just what I can do, like my fitness routine. So pushing my fitness routine more and, making myself feel stronger physically, which then obviously always, helps mentally as well. And that's like what I was saying about the journaling. It's just kind of doing it a little bit different to see how it works. And then
Right.
yeah, a lot of other studying and just opening up areas, because it's not a part, and I'm sure you probably relate to this, is we get to one point where we are now and it's like, what's next? Do you feel like that? You think like, how can I be better for myself and for my partner? Or
Every single day, Jasmine. Every single
yeah.
day, I want to level myself up. Decision last year of getting out and being sick and tired of being at the same spot. Not just that, but as this year, I get a year older. My birthday is actually in Friday, a couple of days from
Oh,
now.
happy birthday for Friday.
I really thought about something. I compared myself in the last 27 years of my life. As I turned 28, and seeing what I did different, seeing what I could do better,
Mm.
and seeing what works, right? And I think the biggest aspect is every day we're trying to level up. Every day we're not trying to repeat the same mistake as we did in our past. And that's if you learn from it, right? And I think a lot of people say, my past has a lot of losing, like loss, but it's not really. Your past really shows you a solution to a lot of problems in your future. As the future goes on and your present goes on, is sometimes we have that problem, but we're having stuck to solve it. But when you rewind to your past, sometimes the answer is right there.
Yes, no, it's not always as hard as what we think it is once we do uncover where we need to work on and what we need to do as well. I think sometimes we can look at it's not easy. It's not easy to continuously want to level up, but you do get better at it. Something I wanted to touch on, you mentioned more about having like a mentor. Is that something that you still do now? Does that help with accountability? Do you want to unpack that a little bit further for us?
Yeah, I think having a mentor, and I also mentor people too. Um,
Mm.
it's such a big difference. Those people that you feel like during last year, I felt like I thought I could depend on those people that I've known for 20 plus years. I was false. And these mentors that I have are the people that really talk to me through business, through life. And those are the people who cared about me the most. They felt something was off, they called and they checked up. And I think having mentors like that who really care about who you are, not just the business itself, it changes you a lot. And those people always look at your journey of where you were before, now, and then as the future goes on. And I think that's the biggest part that I really want to share, Jasmine, is that's why I mentor people too now, is that I told myself that I cannot let anyone around me go through the same thing I went through. As much as I could hate a person, Jasmine, I would never wish upon anybody that went like to go through what I went through. And so I want to be able to change people's pathways if they decide that they want to make a choice. So yeah, I would say having mentors are probably the best thing in the world. I would say accountability, motivation, and helps with your discipline too.
Yeah, that's something I was going to touch on next is accountability because if we're finding ourselves continuously going around the same circle, not getting any progress, having this idea that we want to be better, that we want to impact change, but we just can't seem to stick with it, then that's when I think it's important to ask for help and have that accountability. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like right away. There's a lot of options out there to put your we're not saying dip your toe in the water, are we? We're going to say cannonball because that's like the expression that you used before. But I think a lot of people I find when I talk to people about mentorship or when it becomes to first embarking on that journey or asking for help, people can have that resistance. They're either scared to share their vulnerability or they're just not sure what way to go. So what advice would you give someone to help them find someone like you have found yourself? Because I think what you've explained is that these people, they care and you don't want to go invest or, put your time and effort into somebody if they're not caring. I think it can be very black and white. Now there's a few gray areas when it comes to mentorship and coaching. The space is quite overwhelmed and also there's a lot going on. Would you agree?
I definitely do, and what I hate,
Mm.
and I'm not going to shove and pull on this industry of life
No, yeah.
coaching and how people, yeah, and how people charge for that. And I think that's something that even for me, I don't do. I don't charge people for seeking for help. I don't charge people for asking for help, and I think that's the biggest aspect that I'm an open line. I think Jasmine will put my social media down below,
Yes.
and I'm open line. I don't care what you're going through, and I want to be able to help you achieve what you want to achieve in your journey. And that's why I feel like the biggest aspect of this is people charge to be helped. It's just kind of dumb, I would say. But the feeling of asking for help, and I think the reason why we have such resistance to it is because of the biggest aspect in the world right now, Jasmine, social media.
Mm.
Social media shows that asking for help is a sign of weakness. And I want to tell everyone on here on the call that is not. And the reason why I'm saying that is if I didn't ask for help, guys, if I didn't ask for help, I wouldn't be here today. I'm going to be very honest about that. If I didn't say I needed help and please help me, I wouldn't be here today. And you can ask all my mentors that. Trust me, if you ask all my mentors that I begged them for their help, they would say yes. And look where I am today and how proud they are to see that journey that I decided to create for myself, but also the pathway and the series of the book to really rewrite my story. Because you can rewrite your story any day of the week, guys. It's not, don't be afraid to start over. I think a lot of people are so afraid about that. So don't be afraid to start over and really just ask for help because sometimes the people that will lead you to the success that you want.
That's so right. And being vulnerable and asking for help it takes a lot of strength. And I don't think that gets enough credit, because to be able to put yourself out there and ask for help and admit that you want to change and admit that you need help, that's not easy. But then once you kind of do that step, then that's when everything else unfolds. Do you want to have a bit more of a talk about your book?
Yeah, well, my book is what I call, right, as we go through our series of life, right? I kind of don't like to add another chapter to the book. So, like, for example, my Hawaii book is actually done. Like, my life in Hawaii is already closed off. Now we're in the series of Northern California. Now that's closed off. And now the next book in my series, called book number 3, is being in Los Angeles and SoCal, Southern California. And as I rewrite my story to become the better person of myself, looking through these books and really reminding myself, and how I kind of share those books is your journal, right? Each journal you write is from a different time in your timeline. And that's where I'm at. Now I'm on a different timeline. Now I'm in a different place. Now I get to rewrite my story all over again.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's kind of
Yeah,
why I call it, sorry, that's why reason why I call it a book. I don't, people say, oh, it's about another chapter in your life. But I chose to really break it down even more, saying that each book that I have is about the timeline that I have with my life.
no, that's fine. I understand that now, because I was thinking you're writing a book as well, because I know we didn't have a chat about that previously. So I love that. I love the way that you word that. And it's so important, because it's often we go through multiple chapters in a season. So for yourself, it wasn't just one chapter that you're in each of those. It was, there's probably multiple chapters, but that's why you're referring to it as a book. No, that's a really cool way to put it. The book, my book of life. I would like
And
to
I,
write I actually want to write a book one day.
yeah, and I think the biggest aspect and reason why I say book is because you can always rewrite your story, reset your life. When you
Yes.
start over, you don't start over first chapter, right? You start over by reading another book. So that's how I kind of got the analogy of the starting over and really looking at my timeline and a series of my life into books instead of chapters.
Because it's the book of your life. And you're continuously creating that. Yeah, wow, that's a really, yeah,
So
I really like that. I've never heard someone refer to it that way before. Thank you for sharing that. New little insight for the day.
of course.
So what's next on your journey? Do you have any big goals that you want to share with us?
I do, and I want to be able to do this with everyone on here, as
Yes.
all the audience, that listeners. I'll do this with you guys, and I love the gift of giving. I always done that, especially on my birthday. I always give out big things. I want to say big things, but I like to give back to a lot of my community. And as everyone on Jasmine's audience, if you guys are up for it, I am. Feel free to message me. I will give you a gift of giving, and like I want to be able to help everyone else around the world, not just here in the United States, but around the world, Australia, Europe, Canada, Mexico, all those countries, I don't know how many countries there are around the world, but I would love to be able to help you guys with your journey. And that's my ultimate goal, is to be able to do that. But it won't happen unless everyone reaches out and asks for help. So I want to be able to connect with everyone around the world, but be able to help them with their journey, just like how I did with mine. I would love to see everyone get back on their feet. I would love to have everyone here on earth and living and not giving up on life. And that's the biggest aspect that I really want to share, is that's my ultimate goal of life, Jasmine, is I just want to help people, as many as people as
Mm.
possible around the world, and people next to me, people around the world, people who I have no idea who you are, but I love to get to know you. And that's why I actually made a podcast too, Jasmine. I made a podcast with a total stranger, and now we're having fun with it.
So
But
cool.
we want to just create joy and happiness, towards the audience that listen to it. I know it's in the beginning. I'm not like Jasmine, who has an amazing light in the background, but we'll definitely get there one day. But no, super excited to be on the go and journey to just be able to help people and connect with people around the world.
That's amazing, Peter. I really feel inspired by that, and just also touched, because I have a similar vision, and it's so great to be able to connect with people like yourself and jump on and do an episode and be able to just share and let others know that there's so many people out there that are willing to help. They'll find them in the right places. So that's where I'll be linking all your details in the show notes. Anyone can connect with you that way. But it doesn't take much time to want to help people. And I think for yourself as well, you've been in your darkest days where you wanted to give up. And I can say the same. And when you can come back from that and know the possibilities and know that anything's possible, and every single day anyone has the chance to rewrite their story. And it's not about, like you said, it's not about starting from scratch. Like, you have all that wisdom and knowledge. You just got to learn how to use it in a different way and channel it through to be positive, to make a positive impact on your life.
That is totally correct. I really want to push that, as Jasmine said that, guys. And I think that's the biggest advice out there is you're never really starting over. You
Mm.
have all that wisdom that you carried on in the past. As I said, my past books caused me that create that wisdom to create this new book in my life, this third book. Being in Southern California, really learning that starting over is okay, but you're not really starting from scratch. You're starting from a foundation that you built for yourself. Right, just like how a house has a foundation first. You lay the foundation before you lay the floors, before you lay the walls, before you lay the roof, and now you have a whole house, right? Things happens with the foundation, and you through your life journey, that's your foundation to build a place that you want to be in and a home that you want to stay in.
How would you explain the like building I know you explained of obviously building a house, but how would you explain that to life for our listeners? How would you, interpret that to start, for them to start? What would you suggest to start first? Say, obviously, the floor, you know?
I definitely think the biggest aspect is the decision, right? The foundation is your decision,
Mm.
right? Once you make a decision, you're gonna find that's your wall, right? Once you find foundation, you're gonna find supports. That's your wall. Supports could be your mentors. Support could be the people that are around you. Support could be the books that you read. Support could be your personal development time. Your support could be your journal, right? Those are your walls. Now you have your walls up, guys. But once you want to finish it, it's what you really want. So after you make a decision, now we're looking at your goals. Are we achieving our goals? As each time we achieve our goals, we're going to add on to the roof. And as we add on to the roof, it's going to close up and now you have a home, right? Just like how when you buy a house, there's so many things you look at, right? Okay, where is it at? Where's the location at? Is the house internally nice? From there, you feel like now it's your home because now you get to be inside a place that you made a decision on. You have the support and now you reach your goals. So kind of looking at that way, it all starts with the decision first, right? You got to walk into it with 2 feet, right? In your house, you don't just walk in your feet, right? You don't just walk in and you walk out. No, you don't. You make a decision, you walk 2 feet in and say, okay, look around. I have nothing, but let's build something. And that's where the walls come up. And that's where the roof comes on. And that's where all the rooms that you break down on, right? Where each room means a meaning to you. And then from there, now you have a whole house to be in.
Perfect. That's why I just really love the way that you explained the house. And I was like, oh, it would be great for you to do it, to explain it with everything else. And that all just tied in together. I think that was great. Well, do you have anything else you want to share with the audience? We can talk a little bit more, and then I've got a few little wrap up questions that I like to ask at the end of the episode. So you take the floor and share anything else you want to share with the audience today.
I think, as much as I was hurt, as much as I was suffering, what it really taught me, guys, is that once you go through all this pain and all this suffering, nothing really hits you anymore. I'll be honest. Nothing really hits me as hard as what I've been through. You have to be at your lowest point to learn what the lowest point feels like. And for me, the lowest point was me keep digging it deeper and deeper and deeper. And it took a lot to get out of it. But once you get out of it, you feel like everything is conquered. Like you can just conquer everything. So that's really exactly, what I want to share is, guys, like, don't let the lowest point in your life be your lowest point in your life. Take your lowest point in your life and really build a ladder to climb out of it. And now you're going to be where a place that nothing's going to hurt you anymore, going to phase you anymore. And you can conquer anything that you want because you've been at the lowest point of your life and you did make a decision to make a ladder to climb out of it.
Oh, that's really great the way that you explain that, because we often look at rock bottom and, parts of our life, especially when we are going through that journey, and we look back and sometimes we can feel that guilt and that shame that we were in that position. But I think it's a beautiful position to be in when you can see this is not what I want. Like, I don't want to go the rest of my life knowing that this is all I gave to life, or give up. What would you say to someone, or what would you say to your younger self going back, if you could say something to him or teach him something to help him beyond this journey that you've just embarked on, what would that be?
I'm actually making a series on my Instagram about that. Actually, it's really funny that you kind of mentioned that. So there's so many things that I could say to myself. But if I had to say one phrase to myself, if I was back at 18, turning to adult, is enjoy the moments around you, be grateful for what you have, and appreciate yourself even more. It starts with yourself first before it starts with others. And if you can't start with you first, you're just gonna keep drowning in your own blood, sweat, and tears that um you created. But that's what I really would tell myself is really, appreciate your journey. No matter what happens, no matter what you go through the next few years, sink it in because it happens for a reason. And it happens because you have to I kind of live by the saying, Jasmine. I think I have to translate from Vietnamese to English a little bit. Is you got to struggle first before you get success.
Mm.
You have to struggle first before you get success. You to struggle, you have to enjoy that journey. And as you enjoy that journey, it is going to lead you to success because you're going to learn everything while you struggle.
Perfect. Yeah, that's really insightful because we often think about the journey and when you're in the middle of it, you are working towards a destination. But then when you get to some type of destination, you look back and you think, wow, like this was so eye-opening. And I still feel like I'm in my healing journey and my growth journey. I know my healing and growth journey is going to be lifelong. As we said before, we want to level up every single day. We constantly want to be better. But when you really can just embrace where you are and the journey and the process to get in there, it's an important part as well.
Yeah, I was just saying that I definitely agree with what you just said. I think each day we're definitely going to upgrade ourselves and make sure that we become better and better. Each day is going to be healing, right? You're never going to heal. Let's just say that you're never going to heal of what you've been through, but you can upgrade your healing journey to make
Mm.
sure that whatever you've been through doesn't ever happen again.
Yeah, and make sure that it doesn't trigger you in a negative way, that it triggers you in a way that you can see how far you've come and that you've overcome that adversity and you've made something that was bad into something that was good. And I think that, yeah, that's so important. Well, anything else you want to share, Peter, or we can wrap up our chat today? Thank you for your time.
That's about it. I think
Yeah.
I've really give insightfuls, and I said my line is very open, Facebook, Instagram, and I would love to really connect with everyone in this audience. And I want to hear your journey too, and how I can help you as your journey keeps going on.
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much for your kindness, Peter, and offering that help and support because the more people that can do that, the better we're going to make this world. And it's just one person at a time. So I will share all Peter's details in the show notes so you can connect with him on Instagram. There's a website link as well for your business. So I'll put it all down in there. But any questions, they can jump over. Is Instagram the best place to ask questions for you?
Yes, it
Yep.
definitely is. Whatever you guys are comfortable with, definitely.
Yeah, that's fine. But you're on Facebook as well?
Yes, I am. I think we are connected on Facebook, so they can also share that too.
Okay. No, that's perfect. Anyway, thanks again, Peter, for your time today. I'm excited to see the next part of your journey and continuously level up. And for everybody else, I will see you next week.